We believe anyone can be an innovator who can reshape our world one innovation at a time. Our life has changed and our world is evolving dramatically. The best way to predict the future is to invent it and create the change you want to see. The City I&T Grand Challenge is a competition that invites people from all ages and from all walks of life to come forward and share their innovation and technology ideas and solutions to tackle some of the most imminent and pressing issues facing Hong Kong, and together transform the future of Hong Kong to become a better place. This year, the Grand Challenge calls for each and every one of you to innovate for Hong Kong's new normal, to unlock your genius and discover solutions that will make Hong Kong a safer, a more efficient, connected, and sustainable city through innovative technological ideas from you. My name is Roland Yao, and with you, I'm here to equip you with the critical soft skills and knowledge to get started with your idea development for the Grand Challenge. In the following sessions, we will be further elaborating and explaining the two problem statements, briefly going through the design thinking methodology so you can understand the problem a bit more and find solutions, and finally provide some tips so you can get your idea started and start your innovation journey. In the following session, we'll be talking about the environmental problems facing Hong Kong, specifically environmental sustainability. There are two major problems facing Hong Kong today. One in relation to single-use containers and utensils, and the other in relation to food waste. Because of COVID-19, there has been a really big increase in takeout orders and therefore an increase in the use of single-use utensils and containers. This has caused a severe strain on Hong Kong's landfill, and therefore it's a problem that all of Hong Kong society can solve for. Similarly, for food waste, from collecting food waste to bringing it over to the recycling center is a very, very challenging problem, and it's a problem that needs to be solved now. Both of these solutions require innovation and technology to solve for. Now, breaking down the problems one by one. First, starting with single-use utensils and containers.
Hello， 大家好，我係 Distinctive Action 嘅創辦人。好多時候咧，我哋都會用到好多塑膠包裝啦，或者即棄用品，但我哋又未必會去回收或者重用喎。呢一啲塑膠包裝咧喺地球上面咧可能會停留幾百年先至能夠分解，甚至分解咗之後咧，亦都會成為咗微塑膠。透過生物鏈咧就會進入咗一啲動物，甚至我哋嘅人體入邊，其實影響可以好深遠。我相信咧喺疫情嘅情況之下咧，大家都發現咗自己用塑膠嘅情況咧係多咗好多。喺疫情之前咧，你未必每日會嗌外賣，但係就因為疫情嘅出現啦，又加埋衞生嘅考慮，可能一個星期咧會嗌3至4次外賣，甚至每日都嗌外賣喎。但係你又未必會自備購物袋啦、餐盒或者餐具，咁即係話你每一次嗌外賣嘅時候咧，都會用多咗好多呢啲即棄產品。啱啱9月嘅時候咧，綠色地球咧就出咗一個報告，就指出咧其實餐廳咧嘅外賣量就多咗50%，但係同時間咧我哋用即棄塑膠咧，今年預計到可能會去到150億件。我認為而家最需要解決嘅問題就係塑膠污染、海洋垃圾，同埋我哋嘅堆填區接近飽和。如果由品牌同埋生產商開始可以做到源頭減廢，而我哋作為消費者嘅話，可以做到3樣嘢 ：reduce、reuse、recycle 嘅話，其實我哋每一年香港嘅固體垃圾量已經可以減少好多。
You should first ask yourself, what is the cause of this problem? Who does it impact? And who will the solution benefit? Most importantly, when you think about the solution, it's not enough just to think about an idea. The solution must be long-term, sustainable, and work. That's how the solution will have an impact. Using single-use utensils and containers is a habit. So there may be solutions there to change that habit. You should ask yourself, are there solutions that can directly impact one's habit or indirectly impact one's habit? For example, what if there's a solution to encourage people to bring their own containers and reward them so as to lower the use of single-use containers? Oftentimes, a solution may not be directly impacting the problem, but innovative thinking requires thinking beyond directly what the problem is. Now imagine your favorite company was there to solve this problem of single-use containers and utensils. How would that company solve this problem? In breaking down the second scenario in relation to food waste, we have to again ask ourselves, what is the problem? Is the problem in relation to logistics, meaning that the collection of food waste to delivering it to the recycling center is a problem? Or is it a problem around information? We don't know where food waste should go, and therefore it's hard to collect the food waste. Or is the problem much wider than that? It's beyond the logistics or information. Could the problem be in relation to food production, and there has been an overproduction of food in society, and therefore that's causing the food waste? There are many different ways of thinking about this problem, and therefore there are many innovative ideas and solutions that can be there to solve the problem. Next, we will explore the problems in relation to social connectivity. Now onto the problems in relation to social connectivity. During COVID-19, not everyone in Hong Kong benefited from good digital communication tools. This has led to a lot of problems specifically in relation to the elderly, people with disabilities, and underprivileged children. These people may not have been able to connect to society or to the loved ones and may feel a sense of isolation during these difficult times. Furthermore, underprivileged children are living in very crowded places with all their family members and having to live, learn, and work together in one household with limited connection devices is very, very challenging. For social connectivity, there are two specific problems. First, in relation to the elderly and people with disabilities. How do we ensure that they still feel connected, they feel that they're learning, they're loved, and they're able to stay connected with society? And secondly, for underprivileged children, not only are we looking for solutions to help them feel connected, but more importantly, to maintain good societal connections during these difficult times. Breaking down these problems one by one. First, in relation to the elderly and people with disabilities. You have to ask yourself, is the problem just simply the fact that they are not connected to the internet, or is there something beyond that? Is the problem the lack of internet access, or is it a deeper problem? For example, it's a problem of loneliness. It's a problem of feeling less love. It's a problem of feeling alone. These problems therefore invite many different solutions, not just connectivity solutions or solutions around devices. It could invite solutions that deal with loneliness, or generally dealing with a problem that someone feels that they're not being cared for or loved for. In relation to underprivileged children, solutions are not just as simple as improving online education. Having to live under one roof in a crowded space with limited devices, there are also problems around, are there enough devices? Are there enough connections? Are there enough tools and means through which underprivileged children can stay connected and feel a part of society? This will therefore invite solutions beyond education and beyond entertainment. It's possibly solutions that have to do with engagement and feeling a sense of belonging and community for these underprivileged children. In the following session, we will briefly go through the principles of design thinking in order to help you understand the problem a bit further and start your innovation journey to find a solution. Now, we will talk briefly about the design thinking methodology. The purpose of this design thinking methodology is to help you define the problem a bit more so you can find the solutions. Design thinking methodology has 5 simple steps. The first one is empathy. Empathy is very important for problem solvers because as problem solvers, we need to understand exactly what the pain point is. Is the pain point painful enough for there to be a solution? For example, in the case of the elderly, is the problem simply a matter of connection, or is there a wider problem, say for example loneliness? Where is the most painful point there? In the case of single-use containers and utensils, who feels the pain the most, and who are you solving the problem for? Once you have an understanding of where the most painful part of the problem is, in step 2, you define the problem. It's very clear what the problem is, and therefore what the solution could be. Step 3 is the most fun part. It's ideate. What ideas do you have? What assumptions are you making to come up with that solution? For example, in the case of the elderly, again, it is a problem of social connectivity, but is it a wider problem, say for example loneliness, as we mentioned earlier? If you define the problem as loneliness, you have to think of a solution of how to solve for this problem. We've seen, for example, a smart pillow company that's solving this problem of loneliness, where you can imagine an elderly person sleeping alone in a room could feel quite lonely, and therefore what this smart pillow does is it connects the pillow to your friends and family so that when you use the pillow, it will feel like as if you're sleeping near or next to someone. In the case of single-use utensils and containers, would an idea or solution be to reduce the size of these single-use containers and utensils and thereby reduce the resources needed to make them? There could be many ideas, but most important is to execute these ideas, and that's where step 4 comes. Prototyping. What is the first version of your idea? What is your prototype? Because you would then take this prototype to the market and to see if it actually solves a problem. And step 5 is testing that prototype. It's seeing that in the case of the elderly, would an idea like a smart pillow really solve the problem that you defined? In this case, loneliness. In the case of single-use containers and utensils, does reducing the size of these utensils and containers really solve the problem of landfills in Hong Kong? Now, what's really important to understand in design thinking is the process is not linear. In the example of the single-use utensils, after testing in the market, you may find that that solution does not directly address the problem you define. Therefore, in the design thinking methodology, it's not a 1 through 5 linear progression in terms of steps. Once you've tested your solution and realized that it may not necessarily fix the problem, you may have to revisit step 4 to create a new prototype. You may decide to revisit step 2 and redefine the problem. The whole idea is each of these steps help you clearly identify where you are in terms of the stage of identifying the problem and where you are in the stage of finding that solution. And this will help you improve and find the ultimate solution to your problem. Next, I'll provide some tips on how to think about the solution so that the solution is long-term and impactful to solve these large challenges. We will now provide some tips for you so you can create a more long-term and sustainable solution. There are many ways to think about how to create an idea and how to create a business. One of them is the lean canvas model. In the lean canvas model, there are 9 elements for you to consider to ensure that you are holistically thinking about the solutions to the problem. Of the 9, the one I want to emphasize is the value proposition. The value proposition for your solution is extremely important because that ensures that your customers and your users constantly keep coming back to using your solutions and therefore making your solution long-term and sustainable. So what is a value proposition? In the case of the elderly smart pillow example, the solution is for the elderly, but the value of that solution goes beyond just the user, in this case the elderly. Because this smart pillow, as an example, also connects with the loved ones and family members of the elderly, this solution is also valuable to them. The value proposition is a very holistic concept where it's not just the paying user that benefits from the solution. The reason why this is important is because therefore other people, not just the user, will be incentivized to use the solution. For example, a family member could be the one to purchase the smart pillow for the elderly, even though the family member themselves may not be using the smart pillow. This is how value proposition is important. It helps a company go beyond just the feature and solution and tell a story about how holistically this solution has a greater impact on the overall problem. In the example of food waste, there could be solutions around logistics and around information. But what is the value proposition for these solutions? If it's logistics, logistics involves a lot of people, it involves a lot of different resources. Is the solution valuable to everyone involved, and therefore everyone has a stake in the solution, therefore making the solution long-term and sustainable? And beyond that, there's also a question about, is the solution unique? Why is it that this particular solution is the solution versus everyone else? As an example, I'll talk about Soundbrenner, a Hong Kong company that has a social connectivity element in it. What this company does is it sells a watch, a wearable, with a vibrating motor inside. The intention there is to connect musicians together in society so that musicians can play together on time, every time. The value proposition for this company is helping people who love music, who already play music or want to play music, feel connected to other musicians and feel connected to other teachers. The impact of this solution is not just for music players, but it's also for teachers, students, and anyone that wants to get involved in the space of music. Therefore, the customers of this company is not just people who play music. Because the value extends to everyone else, the customer base also extends to everyone else. SoundBurner is a sustainable solution to the problem, because under each of the elements in the lean canvas model, it's quite clear specifically how they are addressing each element. And similar for your solutions, you need to think about, if you were to use a lean canvas model, under each of the 9 elements, how is your solution fitting in? How are you answering each of those questions in order to make sure that your solution can be sustainable? Thank you for attending this training workshop. I hope this short session will equip you with all the basics to embark on the grand challenge and kickstart your innovation journey. We see challenges as opportunities to disrupt convention. We are now calling for entries. Scan the QR code on the screen and be an innovator. If you have any questions regarding the training content, please drop us an email as shown on the screen. Thank you.